Questions, the Honourable Member for Brampton West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I asked a question earlier of the Conservative member for St. Boniface, and although I appreciated her compliments directed towards me, I didn't get a straight answer, so I'm now going to ask my friend the same question. I support Bill C-47 to go to committee, no problem, but this is essentially the same bill that was introduced by the Liberal government in 2005. So my question is, it's taken 4 years to get here. Why now? We have 500,000 full-time jobs lost under the Conservatives, an EI crisis, an isotopes crisis, pension crisis, H1N1 pandemic crisis with late vaccine in comparison to other countries. Pregnant women in Canada right now can't get it. We had a death in Mississauga just recently. I can't believe that we're dealing with this legislation 4 years after we introduced it, rather than with all these other serious issues. And I'd like my friend to comment upon why we're dealing with this now rather than what truly matters to Canadians right now.
The Honourable Member for Ajax Pickering.
Well, the Honourable Member is right. This should have been dealt with years ago. It should have been allowed to pass in 2005 instead of the Conservatives causing an election then. It should have been allowed to pass when the member for Notre Dame, Lagrasse-Lachine, had introduced it in the previous session of Parliament before the Prime Minister killed it by going to the Governor-General. It should have been introduced at the first opportunity in this session of Parliament. Instead, as I mentioned, it was introduced right before the summer and then sat languishing on the order paper. But that's not unusual. The reality is that many of the government's justice and crime bills languish on the order paper, some for years. Remember C-19, which dealt with investigative hearings, which we were told we were unpatriotic because we asked questions about it, and it had to be passed instantly. Suddenly, it sat on the order paper for 2 years, and they forgot all about it. But why do they bring back these bills? Well, I think the answer to that question rests with their recent troubles. When they get hit with a scandal, and they're dealing with a problem with check scandals and ministers embattled with various questions of impropriety, that their first reaction is to drag back whatever justice bills they've been having languishing on the order paper to bring them back as a channel changer. And that's the truth of this government's agenda on crime. They use crime as a political weapon and as safe harbor. If other things aren't going well, they retrench to crime and talk about trying to change the channel.